Welcome back to the Smart Driving Cars podcast. Thanks for being with us. This edition is sponsored by the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. For more information, head to motoetf.com. Technical support is provided by CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to safe and high-quality mobility for all. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Good morning, Alain.
Hey, good morning, Fred.
On top in the latest newsletter, Tesla releases FSD Beta 10.6.9 with new Occupancy Network. They actually talked about this technology at a fairly recent computer vision and pattern recognition conference. The occupancy networks predict volumetric occupancy of all things around a vehicle. The compute time is about 10 milliseconds from what they're saying. And this is designed, I think, if I'm understanding it correctly, to predict the movement of objects and allows unprotected turns and such. So tell us what your thoughts are here.
Well, I went and looked at the videos that people have been putting online of experiences with it. And yes, most of them are Tesla fans and so on. So it may not be, there may be some selection bias here with respect to what I ended up looking at. But a couple of things really struck me about this. First was their approach now to the deep learning. I mean, we've known for some time that the deep learning initiatives, as opposed to just sending images and basically regressing or calibrating the whole thing based on images, one really should be looking at sequences of images, videos, and of course in the whole mathematics and analytics of doing that, going from images, single images, to then video streams, has been somewhat of a challenge. And of course, their discussions with respect to their approaches of now using video streams to do basically, in simple terms, the calibration of the deep learning models, the estimation of the coefficients that exist in these large dimensional analytic representations of the scenes. Really, of course, it's caught my attention that they're actually doing that. And I think from the results of then that implementation, and certainly the videos that have been posted online, to me, it's very impressive, to the point where when I look at some of the comments from those that are doing the testing, it seems to me that the car, that FSD, is doing a better job of driving than what the expectations or the desires of the driver. I mean, like one situation, it seems that the driver's complaining that it's not making a left turn. Well, there's somebody in the crosswalk. There's somebody, that was approaching that crosswalk that's about to walk into it. And these must be designed so that in fact they are not aggressive, and to have some of these testers be, oh my goodness, it's not going fast enough, or it's whatever, or it's trying to cross a double line and squeeze between two things that I wouldn't have wanted to try. But it's not doing this. Come on, that's not. Whatever. And
one interesting scene, and we watched the same videos, was that when there was a truck double parked on one road, which was not a wide road, it went around the truck, stopped appropriately, and then went around it without being.
It did it better than I would have done it, and so on. And of course I would have stopped because it was a tight squeeze. Oh, there's plenty of room here. Oh, come on, what bravado is this? I mean, right now, we're killing more people on the roadways at a rate that is what did we report? It's now 1.27 per whatever vehicle miles, where 10 years ago it was at 0.97. Almost 30% higher is the death rate on our highways. Why? Because there are people out there that are driving. Whoa, I mean, talk about misbehavior. And so, in a sense, I was pleasantly surprised at what I saw. Of course, it's not full self-driving, so let's just call it FSD. And I don't know. Say the F stands for something else. I don't know. SD stands for something else. I don't care, but you call it FSD. But it's boy, it seemed to be doing a pretty good job.
And no matter what it's called, you do have to be paying attention. Tesla does make that clear to the people who are buying this and using it. But I guess we're dependent on those people not to, as you would put it, misbehave.
Yeah, and I think what Tesla should do, and in some sense, it's really what it already does, is it does stop. And of course, then the person said, well, why didn't it go? And so steps on the accelerator. Well, that's the person taking over. So it seems as if it is constraining itself to a safe progression when it deems that it has the right information to progress safely. And when it doesn't, it stops. And so, in a sense, and it needs to absolutely do that. Now, to what extent it then allows the driver to override it and say, oh, no, I know better, man. Look at my manhood. I can go out there and do this. Then that's on them. That's not on this, if it really does that. Now, we haven't seen the examples in which it thought it could do something and it doesn't, and therefore has a crash. So let's wait and see when, as those videos pop out, there will certainly be some. Okay, because how many crashes are there on a day? My goodness, we kill 100 a day on our roadways. More than 100 a day.
And it's not getting better, is it?
And it's not getting better. And it's not, I'm not saying that Tesla kills 100 a day, of course not. But, we as a whole. And so, of course, there's going to be some crashes, but it seems as if it's getting there. And I guess, my comment is that putting this out for somebody to use and think that it can do the whole thing itself, as in terms of getting that person from where they want to come from to where they want to go to without any intervention, without any disengagements necessary, and to do that safely is asking an enormous amount of the general public who tends to go from almost anywhere to almost anywhere else. And of course, one of the things they're doing in this thing is they're trying to change the route and so on. My goodness, hopefully Tesla is out there computing a route from A and B to B that has in that objective function of picking that route among the gazillion ways that you could go from A to B, including via Beijing or something. Picking the one that it can accomplish with the greatest amount of safety, right, as well as, speed, comfort, and all the other things, but certainly safety would be. And in some sense, why there's this one left turn that everybody is so, enamored that full self-driving can do that. Why? I wouldn't want to make that left turn. Even though wherever I am on that side street, wanting to go, to the left, boy, I may choose to turn right and, make a U-turn someplace, or go to a place where there is a protected left. I mean, I'm wondering about the Department of Transportation that is even permitting that left turn to occur. I mean, there are 3 lanes in each direction with a center median without a stop sign. Okay. Now, I guess the reason there are 3 lanes in each direction is that at least at some time during the day, there must be a heck of a lot of traffic. And if there's a heck of a lot of traffic going both ways and I have to cross both of them, really? I mean, that's an invitation to, if we go back to the famous Joshua Brown crash, in which, you know, he's just cruising down with his autopilot on a nice afternoon in Florida on now 2 lanes in each direction, and one of these, you know, center median things unprotected. And now in this situation, it's now a truck making an unprotected left turn across that. It probably didn't see him coming. Who knows why the guy didn't pull into the gas station, is sitting there broadside out of nowhere. You know, boom. Okay, yeah, maybe, you know, sure, autopilot should have stopped. Oh, yeah, of course. Sure, Joshua Brown should have seen it. Sure. But my goodness, these are very dangerous situations. Now, what Tesla has the opportunity to do in full self-driving is not only sit there and decide, you know, to stay in the lane, not in the lane, turn, to stop, go, and all that stuff. It gets to choose the route to the destination from each point. And my goodness, if that route requires that left turn, that's the only way to get there, I don't believe it. Make the right, go out, go to a protected U-turn, protected left turn, go around the block, come back the other way. Oh, but I want to make an unprotected left. What the hell with you? You do it. That's on you, the driver. You're the idiot. Sorry. Anyway, so what it tends to tell me or suggest to me that there are many pieces of this full self-driving that do work pretty well on certain stretches of road involving certain maneuvers in certain times. The question is, can one stitch those places where it does work so that one can get from an origin to a destination that actually serves some public good? If so, then you can use this to provide some mobility for somebody who can't drive.
When you have that ODD that we always talk about.
Well, I mean,
especially
one is designing an ODD, I think, internally to full self-driving, as well as any of these systems. I mean, as well as the GM system, Super Cruise. You know, if you're on a divided highway, it will take you, and there are whatever certain situations, it allows you to turn the darn thing on. It's begun to define the pieces of the ODD, the operational design domain, in which this works, or at least that GM is willing to have the thing be turned on. And that should be explicitly designed. And in fact, should only turn on in those situations. But now the question is, does that get anybody from where they actually want to come from to actually where they want to go to? It's a piece here, it's a piece there, it's a piece there, it's a piece there. But if you have to intervene me driving or you driving in between, then, you know, it doesn't really, it provides a little bit of comfort and convenience, great. But it doesn't provide mobility. But it may be that even FSD 10.69 has enough of these pieces that they do stitch together to go from some ultimate origin to some ultimate destination and provide the mobility between those over the route, not anyway, not down some riverbank, not up the Great Wall, not, whatever, as what a Range Rover or I don't know, one of those companies wanted to show, oh, our car drives up the Great Wall. Great, thank you. I do that every day. Okay.
Right.
But to me, that's where we are, I think.
And of course, we're going to be hearing more about this the next AI Day, which is just a month away now. And you highlight a story here in the newsletter about the Tesla Dojo and the AI supercomputer they have. And we're going to be seeing, I guess, a lot more about what's there now and what's to come.
Yeah, and I hope it's
besides a robot.
Well, I hope it's not about the robot, because I'm personally just not interested. Okay, I mean, I want you as a friend, Fred. I don't want some robot. What? I want some robot shining my shoes. I don't know. I need a robot here. Bringing me coffee. No, I just think that's. But anyway, that's where I'm coming from. But hopefully they will talk more about Dojo, which when you start feeding these models with all these coefficients, especially when you then say, we're going to be doing this over the time dimension, which is where the video comes in, as opposed to instantaneous, which in fact, if we look at how we drive, we drive not only in the spatial, but we drive in the temporal dimension. We make anticipations of where we're going to be depending on what we intend to do. And that's how we progress. And of course, these things have to do that. And the perception, anticipation over time has to be there. And as with everything going into the future, God, when she created us, she really did a great thing. She made the future uncertain. That means there are risks ahead. Okay. And guess how boring our lives would be if, in fact, she hadn't done that. I don't have to watch the Steelers preseason game at 4:30 today. I know they're going to lose. And I know, Fred, you're going to win the lottery next time. I already know that. So it's not even exciting that you bought a lottery ticket. It'd be all right. It's the fundamentals of it's a really important aspect of living.
It's what makes watching the SpaceX launches still exciting, because there is that little bit of uncertainty, but seems to be less and less.
Boring. Right? Last night, come on, crash one so that I can, so it gets it. No, I'm only kidding. That's amazing. Look, they stuck another one last night.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And earlier in the week, there was the announcement of this collaboration between SpaceX and T-Mobile. They're going to use Starlink satellites to deliver at least some mobile phone service, it seems, everywhere, which is a pretty big deal when you think about it, when with the different emergencies and the dead spots here and there that they can solve with this potentially.
It's an enormously big deal, but of course one has to read the fine print. Okay. Right. The bandwidth is going to be exceedingly limited. Okay. So if all of a sudden, you think you can have a Woodstock in a dead zone and have everybody at Woodstock be on their phones, the answer is no. Don't even think about it. That's not full, above and beyond. This is only partial above and beyond, with right. Short messages, with messages that don't require synchronization. Okay.
If you're on a boat that's lost its power in the ocean, though, that can be pretty nice to have.
Well, it's nice to have, but don't expect it to be instantaneous.
Right.
Because the coverage of the satellites is not going to be continuous. And so this thing is resending as the satellite approaches, and finally there's one ahead, above. One has to really, but my goodness. in terms of a branding and a vision. I mean, I'm just wondering what happened. What Verizon is. Well, holy mackerel, we just got our butt kicked. I don't know. It just that was pretty interesting.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be back with more, but this is a good time to remind you about our sponsor, the Smart ETFs, Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. To get more info, head to motoetf.com. On the website, look for a white paper. It's called The Smart Transportation Revolution. It's under the Insights and News tab. Some great information there to help you make informed decisions. And you may know that ETFs can be a good way to spread risk with investments and focus on a particular category of stocks. That website again is motoetf.com. We're back with more of Smart Driving Cars. Alan, the New York Times ran an essay from Edward Niedermeyer, a guest of ours on the podcast just a couple of months ago, headlined, you want an electric car with a 300-mile range? When was the last time you drove 300 miles? He argues for more affordable EVs with smaller batteries, and I know some of the bigger vehicles, one particular brand it comes to mind, kind of drive you crazy. Like, why are they building these things?
It is such a shame. I mean, here we are, wanting to become a more environmentally responsible, and therefore we're going to go to electricity, which, you've got to do a lot of things to really deliver on that environmental responsibility there. The perception is there. The knee-jerk reaction is, of course, it's free and it's the sun. Yeah, right. But then the way it's being used to reintroduce the Hummer, oh my goodness, so that we can all drive down 295 or the New Jersey Turnpike in a tank and run everybody over. I mean, it is so, shame on you, GM. Seriously.
This isn't the F-150 Lightning, which has legitimate use for, so many people use them for work and construction or whatever it happens needs are.
Yeah, I understand it, but it may be, one can go after Ford also. I mean, really. How much hauling stuff do you have to do? Maybe we should ask not only when's the last time you drove 300 miles, is that when's the last time you hauled stuff?
Right.
Okay. I mean,
there are people who buy pickup trucks for the sake of having a pickup truck. A lot of people.
Yeah, because of course, it's like 8 passengers in there in those 2 rows of seats. They're so big and they're so wide, and they're standing up there and they're and I don't know. Maybe it's just my perception of who the aggressors are on 295 or 95, but it's not the folks in the Priuses or the Chevy or whatever it is, Leaf or whatever it was, or
that's
Bolt.
The Nissan Leaf and the Bolt,
Nissan
Bolt
Leaf and Bolts, and it is. And and everybody wants to build a bigger one and faster one and whatever and so on and darn it, if the public is going to subsidize these things, which the public is going to subsidize it, then my goodness, it should be a little bit more choosy in which one of these things it subsidizes. Because to me, the perception of the Hummer is just wrong.
Right. California, meanwhile, is banning the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035, which may sound to you and me like a long way off, but 2035 is kind of around the corner, isn't it?
2035 is around the corner. I'm probably not going to make it. Who knows whether I will or I won't, whatever, everybody be happy, never mind. But, I guess, one would hope that it wouldn't require regulation, because guess what? There are going to be so many people gaming the system. I don't know. I was thinking I'm going to set up a internal combustion car dealership in Las Vegas and have all the people from California come over there and buy the cars and, you know, put Vegas plates on them and drive them. I don't know how they're going to deal with this. Whatever. Great. You know, go for it. But my goodness, the way the response is, really, do you want people to take a car that gets 30 or 35 miles to the gallon, a small car, and have people go out and buy a Hummer? Really? I don't know.
Not doing much for the environment there, are you?
Maybe.
So,
I don't think so. Certainly not the environment on the roadway.
Gil Pratt, who heads Toyota's Research Institute, is saying no one really knows when fully automated vehicles will reach production. Hard to argue with that statement on its face, right?
Right. I mean, we've been saying that they'll never do that.
Right.
Okay. They'll never do that. I'll still argue that Toyota will never sell that to one of my children or grandchildren. Okay. Why? Because to do that, they are going to have to accept the responsibility that it works. I mean, depends on how you know, what term did they use? Full one?
Right.
Okay. You know, if it's a perception that this thing is going to drive me or go to wherever I choose to have it go to, okay, with or without anybody in it, somebody has to be responsible. Okay. Now, if that responsibility is on me, then, you know, then I'm going to have to buy insurance for that sucker.
Right.
And whether or not anybody, Munich Re or any or New Jersey manufacturer sells me insurance, then I can just go, hey, car, go to Fred's house, give him a ride. Yeah, and just go do it. Really? I mean, is anybody serious here? Not going to happen.
And what we're talking about here is not necessarily the technical capability, but the legal responsibility for this vehicle.
It has to be a market. Just because you can do things doesn't mean that you're going to do things, or there's a market to do it.
Because you've got companies like Waymo and Cruise that are out there providing driverless rides to people.
Sure, there may be entities that will do it. There may be, you know, entities that feel that in their business case, the risk, reward, profitability, all the things that one takes into account when one builds a business, they go out there and provide a service. Yes, here's a lemonade stand. Here's lemonade. You'll enjoy it. Sure. But as an individual,
right,
having one of these things that really drives itself that I send, why would I buy one? Because guess what? Somebody's going to figure out how to do a lemonade stand that takes into account the economies of scale of the cars that I have in my driveway sit there. I mean, it is unbelievable. I have a 20-year-old car that has 53,000 miles on it. Okay, I don't know what the average speed I drove that car at, but I don't know, pick a number. That car has been in use, what, 1% of its life? That's the productivity of use that we make of some of these assets. And in the end, you know, there is, I mean, a bunch of people really have costs that they trade off on these things. So somebody who can make much better utilization of the capital asset by a bunch of people will be able to offer probably a heck of a lot better service, a heck of a lot cheaper than me doing it myself. So the personal ownership of these things, other than, you know, I own a train. I have a train right up here. You know, don't ride in it. Okay, maybe I'll put one of these, you know, these things, you know, on a mantle. But when it comes to mobility, which a lot of these folks that talk Toyota, I mean, They haven't thought about, they've thought about the capital asset, the thing, okay, as opposed to what the thing does. This holds coffee. The car provides mobility. It provides improvement in my quality of life. It provides, it goes and takes me from where I don't want to be to where I want to be, because I'll be a happier camper. That's why I travel. That's the value of the car. Not as, hey, look, man, look at the nice logo on that sucker. Who and all the names. Whoa, my goodness. Come on, Toyota.
Well, they do have, they are involved to some extent with partners that we know.
I hope so, but boy, if this is coming from the top, then I really have to wonder about that. You know, I mean, my goodness, they haven't thought about it's mobility. You're in the mobility business. You're in the mobility business. I think people buy you because of the mobility you provide. Sure, we buy a few other toys, and maybe you only want to be in the toy business. Let's find some folks who want to be in the mobility business.
Tesla, meanwhile, has sent a cease and desist to Dan O'Dowd and his Dawn project, which has been running ads attacking Tesla's full self-driving. The accuracy of those ads has been called into question by some or many. So this is a legal battle that's going to go on for a bit, probably, right? Probably. You know, I mean, we're living at a time where everything you please people, whatever I say, you have to take with a grain of salt, probably. You know, everybody's coming at these things from who knows what direction. Well, Pittsburgh is testing a program to provide free transportation. Talk about mobility, Alan. Yeah, no, that's why it's there. Yeah, that's why I put it there. Free transportation for lower income residents. They're calling this a guaranteed basic mobility program. Eligible participants will be able to ride buses, light rail, bikes, scooters, or order a zip car for free. Well, I mean, I guess I have to go back to English class to understand what order a zip card for free. You know, you have to go. I mean, full self-driving FSD. What does it mean? You know, whatever. I mean, what do these things? I don't. If they're allowing these folks to use a zip car, that is not only basic mobility, that is high quality mobility, because that'll allow those who have a driver's license at least to be able to go, you know, from many places to many places when they want to go, which is not what bus service provides, which is not what trolleys and streetcars provide, which is maybe your scooters, but the range is, you know what. Okay. My goodness, that is fantastic. I mean, I don't know if there's like a monthly allotment of dollars per person who qualifies, how it's going to work. We don't know yet. Yeah, we don't know what the fine print is on that one. Of course, and everything has fine print. We understand. But it said low income, looking for a job. I hope that it has to go beyond looking for a job to having a job and being able to get to the job. Oh my goodness, I get to use my zip car to go to the interview to the Robbinsville, New Jersey context, Amazon distribution facility, get myself my whatever $1 an hour job because they desperately need me. And then, of course, I can't use my zip car anymore to get there. So I can't get there. And whatever they're paying me, yeah, it's certainly more than I was earning, but it still is just barely enough for me to feed my family.
So I still need the mobility. So Pittsburgh, this sounds like a fantastic thing that you're doing, but to me, it sounds almost too good to be true. Because man, Zipcar is like licking its chops, because every zip car in the nation now is going to go to Pittsburgh, because I was raised in Pittsburgh, and I guess I was one of the poor, but whatever, never mind, that was fine. I hitchhiked to work, but anyway.
But wouldn't this be an ideal scenario if that kind of funding is available for the kinds of mobility that we've been talking about for Trenton and other cities in New Jersey?
Absolutely. If the public sector wishes to pay for that, absolutely. But I think as having zip cars available to people who can drive them, absolutely. Then there's a whole question of the folks who can't or don't want to drive that still need the mobility. And of course, that's the young, the old, and others. So there are situations in which you'd like to be able to provide them mobility too, which is, how we argue that the driverless bit is the way to do that. Otherwise, Zipcar, if you can do that, gets you halfway. We've always known that we could give people cars, okay, or make cars available to them. But if the car, again, is only going to be used by one individual, in other words, if I can get access to a Zipcar, I'm going to grab it and then I'm going to take it home. I'm just going to keep it for a month or something. I don't know. Do I only get it for 15 minutes? Or again, details of the program of that. But if you can find a way to have that zip car really be shared, so that the asset cost of that hardware in the provision of the mobility is inexpensive, of course you want to do that. Of course, but the key thing is the sharing. And it's not just the sharing of the asset by the individual, it's also the opportunity to have two individuals share the asset in going someplace. So it's the ride sharing, not just the sharing of the vehicle that is the second dimension that unlocks the economic opportunity of sharing. And if you can put those two things together, then you're really at almost zero cost.
On that topic, Alan, Waze, Google's Waze is shutting down its 6-year-old carpooling service, blaming the pandemic, according to The Verge here.
Well, I'm biased here because I don't like Waze. Okay, I just thought that in the initial days of Waze, the key selling point of Waze is that for everybody to report where the police were having a radar speed trap or a drunken driving test or something like that, and warning people about that. And I just thought that was sleaze. Okay. And for us to all go around, play cat and mouse games as to, let's misbehave because we know where the police are and nobody's going to stop us, it's just, to me, so wrong. And I guess I've never gotten over that. And I was just shocked personally when Google bought Waze. I mean, come on. I mean, the interesting thing was at that time that in Europe, there are what they call black spots where they have speed cameras to basically do this. And they have police out there but the approach was to make the information available to everybody, the objective, it wasn't this cat and mouse. Oh yeah, the police they're hiding and whatever, and the police have to hide to be able to do. Why? Because these are places that they really want you to slow down. They weren't trying to entrap you, and therefore encourage those that were doing turn-by-turn navigation to put that information out there to the driver to alert them. Look, up ahead, we're really serious about the speed limit. In this section, we're really serious. But this wasn't what Waze was doing. Waze was doing it so, hey, you know, wherever they put the speed traps, and we're going to play this cat and mouse game against law enforcement. Anyway. And here, you know, now Waze tries to do something good with carpooling. We're trying to share mobility, make better use of the infrastructure, save the environment, do all the good things, and they fail at it and throw in the towel. Anyway, I'm biased here. I don't like them.
Well, that's going to wrap up this edition now. But
although, Fred, one other thing, Artemis is supposed to launch in a day or so, and I guess we should, you know, we're all going to be
equal time, right?
Equal time, and my goodness, just hope it's successful. Right. Just hope that thing is super successful, because it will really be embarrassing if it's not. And it has to be. It almost has to be. You know, if I was SpaceX, I'd be out there helping them, making sure that they're absolutely successful in that one, because and as successful as SpaceX has been in its launches, recoveries, initiatives, and what really much of the private sector space industry has been. Certainly Bezos has been successful, and Branson's been successful, and all the things that they've tried and whatever have gone well. Let's just hope that the public sector's initiative here goes well too.
Well, we do need, and they need a healthy NASA, don't they?
Everybody needs a healthy NASA and a successful NASA. Right. And the success of NASA these days, if one sits there and looks at the James Webb Telescope images, my goodness, what a success that thing is. Oh, it is just, I mean,
the shot of Jupiter that was out this a few days ago.
The shot of Jupiter, the images that I'm still trying to find the best site to be able to go and look at the images. There have been a couple of sites that have put side-by-sides, interactive side-by-sides, Hubble and Webb, and you can just sit there and just see with your own eyes the improved resolution, and it just boggles the mind. I mean, it just boggles the mind.
You have to point it somewhere to see where that Tesla Roadster is. Somewhere in deep space.
It probably, well, I'm sure they know it. I'm sure it's an object being tracked. You know, all those objects are tracked.
Sure.
So we know where everything, we know basically where everything is that we put up. I mean, it has to be, because they have to compute collision probabilities, especially collision probabilities with the International Space Station.
Sure.
And so, you know, and given orbits, and given that it's pretty much F equals ma in those situations, so there is relatively little perturbation, although the sun and whatever does provide some perturbation to those orbits. But you know, it's pretty much, and you have to sit there and compute those things going into the future.
We talk all kinds of mobility, don't we?
We talk all kinds of mobility. Yeah, I mean, because especially there, you know, if you have the intersecting orbits, the collision velocities can be so great that it doesn't take much mass, in which the energy transfer of that collision is like non-trivial.
Absolutely.
Which is the reason why, in a sense, if we really want to do interstellar, oh yeah, let's go at 0.2 the speed of light, where, maybe it'll only take us like 10 years to get there, 12 years to get there, whatever. The only problem is that if you have a collision with something small going at, you're going at 0.2 the speed of light this way, and this thing is going who knows what this way or whatever, and you have oh my God, the collision velocities. Oh, we're in trouble. We can basically not have any of those. Oof.
Interesting way to think about collision avoidance.
Best thing to do in collision avoidance is go slow. Okay, then you have the opportunity to miss, and if you don't, then not much happens.
Well, thank you to our sponsor, the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF. The ticker symbol for the ETF is MOTO, and you can get more information at motoetf.com. Technical support is provided by CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to safe and high-quality mobility for all. You can find us, of course, at smartdrivingcar.com. Wherever you turn to for podcasts, you can find us too, and smart speakers can play us. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Alain Kornhauser. Thanks for listening or watching. Please continue to stay safe.
And enjoy the upcoming launches this upcoming week. It should be exciting. It's going to be like 1969 all over again, maybe, I had thought of flying down to Florida and watching the launch since I was at the Apollo 11 launch. So, but I guess I'm not going to do it. But who knows? If it gets delayed a day or so, I may do it.
Do it, Alan. Do it.
I should do it. Whatever.